What I have on the XL, this XL is awesome. It does everything I need it to do. It sounds amazing. The workflow is perfect. I'm able to sample into it. I'm able to do stem separation, warp, like everything that I can think of when it comes down to the type of beats that I make. I can do it on the XL. So why do I have a SP1200 next to me? Not because it sounds better or worse. It's just the SP1200 has a unique sound that is hard to replicate. On the XL, there is plugins that kind of emulate the 1200 sound, but it doesn't sound like the 1200. It sounds cool. I always talk about my favorite plugin, the Low Flight Dirt. That's my favorite plugin right now. And the preset that I use on that plugin is the SP1200 preset. Again, it doesn't sound anything like the SP1200, but it sounds really cool. I like using that plugin. The SP1200, the downside of the SP1200 is just its workflow. It does what I need it to do when it comes down to just truncating the start and the end of a sample. It does it great. There's nothing wrong with that. It's just when I'm dealing with a lot of samples coming through from records, kicks, drums, melodic sample chops, it could be very tedious to do those chops here on the 1200. So I'm using the MPC to do all my chopping, get my one shots, and once I have those chopped up and laid out on my pads, then I just sample each individual pad or sample onto the 1200. It's just a very fast workflow. I get to have the sound of the 1200 and the workflow of the MPC. One thing I wish that we could have on a 1200, and who knows, maybe sometime down the road we're able to see something like this on a 1200, but it'd be awesome to have some type of lazy chopping on there. What's lazy chopping on the MPC? When I bring in a sample, as I'm sampling into the MPC, I'm able to hit pads and it starts chopping up those samples in real time. How cool would that be, right? On the SP1200 to be able to have some type of lazy chop mode where I can just hit pads and it automatically gives me a slice. But as of right now, we don't have that. We have the 1200 and it's amazing, amazing sound. I don't know how to describe the sound of the 1200, but it's so unique. It's so different from anything else that I've heard. So this sampler ain't going nowhere. It's staying right next to me. And let me explain a little bit of how I have everything routed. If you're new to signal flow and audio, this might be a little confusing, but if you have an XL, you probably have an XL because you want to utilize the I/O of the XL. This is where the XL shines for me. If you ask me, what's your favorite MPC? My favorite MPC is going to be the MPC Live 3, and slowly but surely, the XL is becoming one of my top favorite MPCs. Why? Not because of the size. As a matter of fact, this is very big. It takes up most of my studio desk. Where this shines for me is the inputs and outputs, because I'm using those inputs and outputs. If you're not using the I/O of the XL and you're just like, I'm never going to use those extra outputs and inputs, I mean, get a Live 3, get an MPC 1. They all do the same thing. Yeah, you do have Q links right here, which are awesome, but I mean, is it really worth the money that it costs versus just getting a Live 3? I don't know. That's up to you. Again, if you're tapping into those IOs, then this extra cost is definitely worth it. The way I have this set up is I have my record player connected to the MPC, inputs 3 and 4. I sample into the MPC. I chop up those chops. Once I have it chopped up the way I want it to, I pitched it up about 5 semitones. I'm doing the hard work right here on the XL. Now I want to get the signal from my MPC out into the sample input of the SP1200. How do I do that without having to unplug and replug the outputs 1 and 2? I don't want to do that. I'm coming out of the MPC XL, outputs 3 and 4. I'm already using outputs 1 and 2 for my speakers. That's how I'm monitoring my MPC. So my next available outputs on the XL is outputs 3 and 4. That's why those extra outputs are so helpful on any MPC that gives you those extra IOs. Coming out of outputs 3 and 4, into the 1200, and that's how I sample into the 1200. So I can listen to my MPC and hear it from my speakers, and at the same time, I'm able to sample into the 1200. Now, how am I sending drum track 1 or channel 1 through separate outputs simultaneously? How am I doing that? The output of track 1 is set up to outputs 1 and 2. That's my speakers. How am I going to send outputs 1 and 2 and also outputs 3 and 4 so I can go to the SP1200? Well, that's where I use my sends. Right now, I'm sending this channel through send 4. So in other words, this signal is being split. The direct signal is going to outputs 1 and 2 for my speakers, and then I have a send going to send 4. If we look at send 4, which is return 4, what is the output of send 4 going to? Is it going to outputs 1 and 2 to my speakers? No, I don't want to hear send 4, or I'm sorry, return 4, because that's what I want to send to the MPC or the SP1200. So the output of return 4, if I go to the IO, I have that output sent to 3 and 4. I know it's a bit confusing, but try to pay attention to signal flow. It's kind of like a cascade. Whatever goes up comes down, and depending on what I put at the bottom, that's where it goes into. So when I hit play on this pad, it's being played back on my speakers, and I also see that on return 4. And return 4 goes into the 1200. So now I got that sample onto the 1200, and right here is where I can pitch it down a few semitones so I can get it back to the way I want it to. Once I have everything routed like this, I can keep moving. I can keep bringing samples, chop up samples, bring them onto the 1200, get the sound of the 1200, and then bring them back into the MPC and just have this cycle going nonstop. It gives me the best of both worlds. Now, I did that already with my sample chops, with my melodic sample chops, and this is what I have on the sequence right here on the 1200. I already have something grooving right there. Now, I want to bring in some one-shots, some kicks, snares, and hi-hats so I can run those and process that through the 1200. What I might even do at the end of the video, we can play back the same beat coming from the MPC XL versus the sound of the 1200 so you can compare both sounds. I'm not the type of person that I'm like, oh, the MPC sounds horrible. I don't think it sounds horrible. I think it sounds great. But like I said, the 1200 has a different character to the sound. You might like it, you might not like it. That's up to you. If I go to bank B, I have some one-shots right here. I want to get those kicks and those snares into the SP1200. I have everything routed just how I described it at the beginning of the video. All I have to do now is just hit record on the 1200 and press any of these pads, and we can start triggering it right here. Let's go ahead and do that. So if I go right here on the 1200, I have an empty bank B. I just have to record enable the signal, hit this pad right here. I already see that I'm getting signal. I just have to adjust the input signal, set a threshold for that, record enable this, and now all I have to do now is just hit the pad. Now let's go for the snare, put that on bank or on pad B, hit enter. So now we have a kick and a snare, and we already have the sample right here. Let's go ahead and record that on the sequencer of the SP1200. All right, we have some right here. Yeah, now I can bring in some hi-hats right here and start moving a little faster. Let me see. I like this open hat. Let's record that, bring up the gain. Just like that, we recorded that open hat on pad 3. Let's get another closed hat on pad 4. I like this shaker. Now we have a hi-hat and shakers. All right, I apologize. Unfortunately, while I was recording this video, my microphone just completely went out on me. So at the middle of this section, I was not able to recover that footage, but luckily we got the main idea that I wanted to show in this video was just signal flow, how I'm connecting everything together. The chunk that got cut out is just me rebuilding the beat using the sounds from the SP1200, and then I sequence it on the XL so we can hear how the 1200 sounds, and then I make the same exact beat and I sequence the sounds directly from the XL, so I have two different sequences. The resample chops from the 1200 and then the sounds directly from the XL, so we can compare both sounds. See which one you like better. Do you like better the sound of the XL or the SP1200? They're completely different. I wasn't able to get the exact identical mix with the hi-hats and all that, but you could hear the difference, night and day difference. There's no plugins. I'm not processing anything. It's just a direct sound from both machines. Go ahead and check that out, and I'll see you right after that. Now, before I get into the part where the microphone starts working again, I'm just talking about how important it is to have those extra inputs and outputs, especially if you're using external gear. It doesn't have to be an SP1200 to do this. You can have EQs, compressors, any other guitar pedals. Being able to have different audio sources that you can run and use those extra outputs into, it's very, very helpful having those extra IOs. Let's get back into the video. If any type of routing when it comes down to signal, something like the XL or the Live Mark III is well worth it because it gives you those extra outputs. Now, yes, you could get a class compliant interface and hook that up to your MPC One. It does expand your outputs. You can even have more IO. But I like just to have everything in the box so I don't have to do extra steps of routing different devices. If I can do it all in one piece right here, I'm happy with that. All right, guys, thank you for tuning in. Thank you guys for watching this video. I hope you guys got something out of it. Hopefully on the next video I film, I can talk a little bit about what I think is my favorite MPC. I feel like I've had this quite enough already where my honeymoon period is fading away. So I'm not blinded by the new device and, whoa, this is the best MPC ever. On the next video, I will share with you a little bit about what, at least for me, my type of workflow, what's my favorite MPC. So stick around. Make sure you guys subscribe. I'll catch y'all on our next video. Peace.